Welcome to your deep dive on mastering the art of manifestation. Sounds pretty awesome right now. We're diving deep into excerpts from Wishes Fulfilled by Dr. Wayne Dyer, trying to pull out those really useful insights.
Yeah, it's incredible how Dyer takes these concepts that seem kind of out there, like aligning with the universe and all that, and makes them feel achievable for everyday people.
Okay, so you're curious about making your wishes a reality.
Ugh.
Yeah. Dyer's book, it's all about tapping into what he calls the I am, this creative energy of the universe. He even brings in ideas from people like Jesus, St. Francis, even the Tao Te Ching, just to show this isn't some new age fad. It's about understanding how our self-concept, our imagination, even our subconscious minds work together to shape the world around us.
It's like this. Imagine you're baking a cake, right? Dyer says our self-concept, that's like the recipe, it's the foundation. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So if we're constantly telling ourselves, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'll never be successful, we're kind of adding those limiting beliefs as ingredients.
Exactly. It's like accidentally putting salt in your cookie dough instead of sugar.
Yeah.
You end up with a reality that reflects those beliefs, and it's not so sweet. Dyer really emphasizes shifting from that to a place of, I know this is possible.
Okay, so instead of just hoping for things to change, we need to change the recipe, change our self-concept. He doesn't just stop there, though, does he? He goes on about the power of imagination and how it connects to this whole I am force. Absolutely. Dyer describes imagination as this sacred space within us, like a mixing bowl where we blend our deepest desires with this unwavering belief that they can actually become real. And he doesn't just mean daydreaming, right? It's about feeling the emotions as if your wish is already a reality.
He even tells that incredible story about his experience with that Brazilian healer, John of God. Have you heard of him?
Yes. And while Dyer's experience was definitely extraordinary, it highlights a principle we can all tap into. Sometimes the greatest healing, whether physical or emotional, it comes from surrendering to something we don't fully grasp, something beyond ourselves.
Okay, so we've got the recipe, the self-concept, and the mixing bowl, our imagination. Where does the subconscious mind fit into this whole baking analogy?
Think of your subconscious mind as the oven, right? It doesn't judge the recipe, it just bakes according to what you put in there. So by repeatedly impressing our desires onto the subconscious, especially before we sleep, when our minds are most receptive, it's like we're preheating the oven. We're aligning ourselves with the I am to make those desires a reality.
He has another powerful anecdote, this time about a woman named Anita Morjani, who had like a near-death experience.
Yeah.
And it totally transformed her view of, well, everything.
Right. That's the point, though. Even without a near-death experience, Anita Morjani's story, as extreme as it is, it shows just how much our beliefs shape our world. You believe in limits, you'll encounter limits.
Yeah.
But believe in your own power and the power of something bigger. That's when you open yourself up to incredible possibilities.
That's a powerful way to think about it. But let's be real. Not everyone buys into this whole manifestation thing. Dyer even talks about facing doubt from family, friends, even society as a whole. What does he suggest we do when we encounter that kind of negativity?
Dyer says to stay focused on what's going on inside us. It's about learning to trust our intuition, that inner voice, and not letting other people's opinions throw us off our game. Imagine you're creating this beautiful garden. Those negative voices, they're like weeds. You wouldn't let weeds take over your garden, you'd pull them out so your plants could thrive. It's the same with our dreams and desires.
He uses his own story, leaving a stable Navy career to pursue writing and speaking, something he was really drawn to.
And remember how his superiors tried to discourage him? They said it was a foolish decision, irresponsible, but he chose to listen to his inner voice, his own I am, and look what he accomplished.
It's like he tuned out the noise and followed his own internal compass, right?
Yeah, like he had this map to a hidden treasure, but it was written in a language only he understood. He wasn't going to let someone who couldn't read the map tell him where to go.
Okay, so we've unpacked some of Dyer's main ideas: the importance of self-concept, the power of imagination, the role of the subconscious, and really staying true to our own path. But what can people do with this? How do you actually put it into practice?
That's the exciting part. Dyer gives a ton of practical advice, but let's start with 3 key things. First, become incredibly aware of your self-talk, the things you're saying to yourself all day long.
It seems so simple, but it's clearly important since it keeps coming up.
Because it's huge. Dyer argues that we literally talk our reality into being, so pay attention. Are your words lining up with what you want to experience, or are you accidentally reinforcing those old limiting beliefs?
It's like that saying, be careful what you wish for, but in this case, it's more like, Be careful what you're constantly telling yourself.
Exactly. Your words are powerful. Choose them carefully. Instead of saying, I'm so stressed, try, I'm finding peace and solutions. You're not denying the challenge. You're just shifting your focus toward a better outcome.
Okay, self-talk is key. Got it. What's the second takeaway?
Visualize with feeling. Don't just think about your desires, feel them. Close your eyes and imagine, like really imagine, holding that dream job offer letter. Feel the paper, smell the ink, see your name on there. Let yourself feel the joy and excitement wash over you.
So it's not just a mental picture, it's a full body experience.
Exactly. When you can genuinely feel the joy, the gratitude, the pure excitement of your wishes as if they're happening right now, you send a powerful message to your subconscious, that oven we talked about. It's like you're telling the universe, this is what I'm baking, get ready.
That makes sense. So we've got self-talk, visualization. What's the third thing?
Practice unwavering faith, even when things get tough. Remember, the universe is working behind the scenes, even if you can't see the results yet.
That's definitely easier said than done sometimes. Life happens. Unexpected bills, setbacks, frustrations, you name it.
Oh, absolutely, life happens. But Dyer reminds us, challenges are not signs that we're doing something wrong. They're often opportunities for growth and can be followed by amazing breakthroughs. So when those doubts creep in, because they will, just acknowledge them without letting them take root.
He tells this incredibly moving story about a woman he met in Hawaii. Her name was Pam, and she was battling a serious illness.
Right. He even included some of her emails in the book. Even in the middle of treatment, she had this vibrant energy. She embodied these principles, especially the power of visualization.
He talks about how she would visualize herself as healthy, whole, even during her treatment.
Yeah.
It wasn't just wishful thinking for her. It was like a powerful declaration that she would overcome her illness.
And that's a major theme throughout Wishes Fulfilled, the power of choice. We have so much more power to shape our reality than we realize.
And she did walk again. It's such a powerful example of the mind-body connection and how much our beliefs impact our physical reality.
Dyer's not about sugarcoating challenges, though. It's about reminding us that we have way more influence than we think we do. He's saying, don't underestimate the power of your own mind. You are capable of extraordinary things.
It's fascinating how Dyer emphasizes that limitations are often self-imposed, like we're getting in our own way.
He goes even deeper, saying it's not just about, like, manifesting material stuff, although that's part of it. It's about tapping into our full potential as human beings, reaching for the best versions of ourselves.
He talks about how we all have this divine spark within us, this I am force that connects us to something so much bigger than ourselves.
He even quotes a passage from the Bible, "Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect."
Yeah, it's like he's saying, hey, we're all capable of incredible things. Why settle for mediocrity?
Exactly. And to be clear, that Father, that God, whatever resonates with you, it's not some distant figure. It's this source of creation that's like woven into the very fabric of our being.
And I am, we keep coming back to.
Exactly. And Dyer wants us to really embrace this truth, repeat it, feel it. I am powerful. I am capable. I am worthy. Don't be afraid to own it.
It's like we're aligning that inner recipe, our self-concept, with this amazing, powerful spark that's already within us. No more settling for those discount ingredients.
I love that analogy. And when we make that shift, when we truly start believing in our own potential, we start seeing the world differently. Those limitations, they often turn out to be walls we've built in our own minds.
So it's not enough to just change our thoughts. We've got to dig deeper and change the underlying beliefs that are driving those thoughts. That's a whole other level, isn't it?
He uses a great example of a seed. Think about it. A tiny seed holds the blueprint for this massive, strong tree, right? The seed doesn't have to try to be a tree. It just unfolds naturally because that's its inherent potential.
We're like that seed. We have this incredible capacity for growth and creation already within us, but sometimes we get in our own way.
We get bogged down by doubt. We focus on what we lack. We let fear call the shots.
So how do we get out of our own way then? How do we tap into that limitless potential? Where do we even begin?
Dyer suggests things like meditation, visualization practices that help us quiet the mental noise, But ultimately, he says, it all comes down to cultivating a deep sense of trust. Trust in ourselves, trust in the universe, trust that life is unfolding in our favor, even when it doesn't feel like it.
He talks a lot about letting go,
Yeah.
surrendering to the flow of life. But how do you actually do that? It sounds kind of vague when you say it like that.
That's where faith comes in. And I don't mean blind faith, but this deep understanding that there's this intelligence operating in the universe. And honestly, it's way beyond our limited human comprehension. Look at our bodies. We don't have to consciously will our hearts to beat, do we?
We trust that our bodies know what they're doing.
Exactly. Dyer's saying there's a similar intelligence at work in the universe, something bigger than us. And the more we can tap into that, align ourselves with its flow, the more effortless life becomes.
So it's about surrendering to the bigger picture, even when we can't quite see it. Thinking about it, I realize there have been so many times I've ignored my intuition, talked myself out of something I deeply desired.
And how many incredible opportunities might we have missed because of those limiting beliefs? It's not entirely our fault. We're often conditioned to think small, to play it safe. But Dyer's challenging us to break free from that, to step into our power.
He even talks about manifesting things that seem, well, impossible, like healing from a serious illness or finally achieving a lifelong dream after years of putting it off.
And while he acknowledges that not every desire will manifest exactly as we pictured it, after all, we're co-creating with the universe here. He emphasizes that the process of aligning with our desires, that's transformative in itself.
It's about growth, pushing our boundaries, becoming the best versions of ourselves, no matter what that looks like. And it reminds me of that story Dyer shared about a woman named Nicolette. She was struggling to regain mobility after having a stroke.
And she went to see a healer who used this technique called laying on of hands. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of it. It's about channeling energy, right?
Right, exactly. And Nicolette, she had this powerful experience where she could feel this energy like flowing through her body.
And her recovery, Dyer says, was deeply connected to her unwavering belief that she would heal.
Mm.
She absolutely refused to accept those limitations.
It wasn't denial. It was this deep inner knowing, this deep faith that she would walk again.
And she did walk again. It's such a testament to that mind-body connection, how our beliefs can literally shape our reality.
Dyer's not about sugarcoating the hard stuff, though. His message is about empowerment. It's a reminder that we have more agency than we think. He's saying, don't underestimate the power of your own mind. You are capable of extraordinary things.
It's like we've been talking about this I am as this abstract force, but Dyer's saying it's not some passive concept, right? Like we can actually do something with it.
Absolutely. He talks about using affirmations. It's a way to consciously choose the thoughts and words that resonate with what we want, with reality we want to create, instead of the ones we're trying to move away from.
So we're not just passively waiting for good things to happen. We're actively aligning ourselves with them. I like that.
Exactly. It's about consciously shifting those old thought patterns, trading in those limiting beliefs for ones that light us up. We're giving our minds the good stuff.
He's big on repetition, too. Like, it's not enough to just try it once and hope for the best.
Right. He's like building a muscle. It takes consistency, showing up over and over. He talks about incorporating affirmations throughout your day. Maybe you repeat them to yourself in the mirror each morning. Write them down. Even listen to them as you're falling asleep.
He even suggests writing them on sticky notes and putting them all over the fridge, the bathroom mirror, anywhere you'll see them regularly.
It's about surrounding yourself with reminders of what you're capable of, those little visual cues. Surprisingly powerful.
It's really interesting, this whole idea of creating your own reality. Dyer talks about acting as if your wishes have already come true, not just thinking about them, but really living them.
He calls it living from the end. You start by imagining your ideal life, work, relationships, health, the whole picture. Then you start living as if it's already happening.
So if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, for instance, you wouldn't just sit around dreaming about it, right?
Yeah.
You'd start taking those steps, even small ones, networking, learning new skills, maybe even dressing the part.
Exactly. You step into that version of yourself, embodying the qualities you want to cultivate. And when you act as if, something pretty amazing happens. You begin attracting experiences that reflect those beliefs. It's almost like magic, the way things start falling into place.
He tells a story about manifesting a new home using this very technique. He made a vision board with pictures of his dream house, even wrote down the qualities he wanted in a neighborhood.
And I love this part. He would drive to that neighborhood and imagine himself pulling into the driveway of his new home. He really committed to the visualization.
And within a few months, he found a house.
Yeah.
And get this, it was almost exactly what he had envisioned. It shows how powerful those small, consistent actions can be.
It's like by acting as if we're sending a clear message to the universe, we're putting our order in, and the universe is taking notes.
I don't know about you, but this whole conversation has really shifted something for me. It's like this empowering reminder that we have way more influence over our lives than we often give ourselves credit for.
Dyer's message really is all about empowerment. It's about recognizing that spark within each of us, that I am, and understanding that we're not just along for the ride, we're active creators in our own lives.
We get to choose. We choose our thoughts, we choose our beliefs, we choose our actions, and ultimately those choices, they shape our reality.
We've covered so much ground today, but Wishes Fulfilled is full of wisdom, and this is really just the tip of the iceberg.
It's been fantastic. Any final thoughts for our listeners as they continue exploring these ideas and experimenting with manifestation?
Don't be afraid to dream big. Embrace those big, juicy desires, even the ones that seem impossible. Trust in your own power. Trust that the universe has your back. And remember, it all begins with those two little words: I am.
So much power in those two words. We've been on quite the journey today. We hope this deep dive has inspired you to explore these concepts, maybe even check out Wishes Fulfilled for yourself and see what magic unfolds.
Absolutely. You are capable of creating a life that truly lights you up. Don't forget that.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive. We'll see you next time.